having Naotaka Nishiyama, of course, the founder and CEO of Talendy, who's going to be moderating the session. Mr. Nishiyama, it's again an honor to have you back on stage, and this time he's going to be moderating this conversation. We have two of the speakers joining us, starting with Sunil, Gopinath, CEO Rakuten India. Sunil, being the CEO of Rakuten India, a subsidiary of the Rakuten Group, which is leading global provider of e-commerce, digital content, fintech, and communication services. Rakuten India, as you're aware, is a key player in the Indian market, focusing on the expansion of Rakuten's business operations and the technological solutions across the country. Sunil, of course, being their CEO of Rakuten India, he oversees the company's strategic initiatives and growth within the Indian market. We also have Stephen Barnham, CIO of Daiichi Life Holdings, joining us. Well, Stephen, being the CIO of Daiichi Life Holdings, which is a leading global life insurance company based in Japan. The company is one of the most prominent players in the global insurance and financial services industry, providing a wide range of insurance products and financial solutions. As the CIO, he's responsible for overseeing companies' information technology strategy, infrastructure, and the digital transformation efforts. So it's going to be great to see what the three of them can bring to us with our Fireside chat titled Using AI Effectively. With that, let's bring all three of them on stage with a warmer round of applause. And also for all our delegates who are present here. After this session, we'll of course want to invite all of you for a networking break. And we are leaving it to the three gentlemen for curating this conversation forward. And just for the information, post this, when the lunch happens, it's going to be happening in Jasmine Hall 1 for all of you. Over to you to take it forward, Nishiyama.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay, now. I'm so happy to welcome you to this session. So today we have two amazing leaders who are using AI in smart ways. And yes, first, Mr. Sunil-san, the CEO of Rakuten. So we have just watched the Rakuten beautiful video, so you may not need explanation, but Rakuten is very, very well known in e-commerce, fintech, or mobile, in other areas. And Rakuten India has a big, important role in innovation. Thank you for being us, Sunil-san.
Thank you. Thank you.
And next, we have Mr. Steven, the Chief Digital Officer and Chief Information Officer at Daiichi Life Holdings. So Daiichi Life Holdings is one of the biggest Japan's, and most trusted insurance company. And then Steven-san is leading DX to use AI to make insurance faster, easier, or better for customers. So thank you for joining, Steven-san.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So maybe let me start with a big question. So maybe from Steven-san. So big question. Why is AI important for you? And what role does it play?
Sure. So as a life insurer and as one of Japan's largest life insurers, we play a noble purpose in many people's lives. We need to be there for our customers during their most delicate times in their lives. And in Japan, as you've already heard, the society is aging, and we are finding it harder and harder to find talent. Our salespeople are retiring. And so we use AI to augment this very human undertaking. And so when our salespeople are speaking with our customers, sometimes during very delicate times in their lives, the AI can support them, and the AI can direct them to deal with the customer in a more friendlier way, to deal with the customer in a more appropriate way. It can suggest product types, and in this way, this improves the customer experience. I was just having a conversation with somebody before I came, and when he discovered I was from a life insurance company, he said to me how he had such a difficult experience, both in buying the insurance and in going through a claim. And I'm sure many of you have had difficult experiences with insurance. And so technology and AI in particular can help remove this friction from the customer experience and help the buying experience be much easier to execute, and the claims experience to be much smoother. So AI is very much augmentation of what is a very human business for us.
Thank you very much. And yes, Sunil-san. So Mr. Aniban-san explained a lot of how Rakuten using AI. But as a CEO, from your perspective, why AI is important for Rakuten?
Yeah, good question. Can you guys hear me okay? See, for us, we have a three-pronged expectation from AI as we leverage it in our company. We call it the 30-30-30 plan, which means 30% improvement in top line, 30% improvement in bottom line, 30% improvement in productivity. So, and for us, one of the primary reasons why AI matters is AI at scale is extremely critical for us. We have business scale, 75 plus companies as part of the Rakuten group companies. We have customer scale, we have 1.5 billion users. And we have technology scale, right? In terms of the amount of data that we collect about the users, about our business, about applications and infrastructure, things like that. And so it's humanly impossible to have, with that diversity of data, it's humanly impossible to have, to solve these kind of problems with just people or with a rules-based technology. Right? So this is where AI comes in, because it's machine learned. Right? You don't necessarily have to put any rules, whether it's cyber security. Yeah. There's no way you can put rules, because the kind of attacks that hit us on a daily basis changes on the fly. So you need to have machines learning automatically depending on a dynamically changing real world scenario, and hence AI.
I see. Thank you very much. So yes. So for Steven-san, so you mentioned to remove the friction or to improve the friendly customer experience. So, but it works best with so because Kataoka-sensei mentioned that previous session, AI is a tool, right? So in order to achieve this, so what is the strategy for this? How do you approach?
Sure. So as with any new technology, it requires a deep consideration about how we implement it and how we use it. And so we are looking across a variety of different areas. The first thing is in changing our business models. So through the traditional way of selling insurance, if we suddenly just put in AI to that, then perhaps it won't be so effective. So we are exploring new channels through which to sell our insurance, new digital channels. So changing business models is the first area. The other area is related to our talent. So if you produce a new technology and then just introduce it into your organization, but nobody knows how to use it, then of course it's almost useless. And so we are putting a significant effort on, number one, hiring top talent that are expert in data science and AI. And we have just appointed a few months ago a chief AI and data officer. And we are also training and developing internal talent. And there's a big focus on teaching our existing staff on how to use this technology and how to reimagine their own businesses with it. And then finally, we can't think that our old organization will work in the same way. So we're also reimagining our organization, and we are restructuring ourselves as a global top-tier financial services company, which is our ambition, and we're changing our organization. So in order to get the most out of this wonderful new technologies, 3 areas. One is new business models, the other is a focus on our talent development, and finally is in our organization and changing our organization.
Thank you very much. This is a really important point, the talent. So yes, previous session, they are discussing how to educate the talent in the age of AI. Right, so yeah, let's talk about this. How do you prepare, maybe Sunil-san first, how do you prepare your team to learn new skills or ahead of, in this AI era?
Yeah, so let me start by taking one step back, right? To your previous question on the overall strategy.
Sure.
Our company's strategy, we have a 3-pronged approach. One is AI for employees. Second is AI for business, and the third is AI for consumers or consumer experience. You heard a lot about the consumer experience side. To your question on how do we enable our employees as well as get the right kind of talent, we actually think that for the entire company, we can get 20 to 30% gains in productivity just by focusing on how do we enable our employees to use existing AI tools. It could be something as simple as a coding guide, right? Something that does code reviews of the software that our employees write, comes back with recommendations on how good it is, gives it a score, finds areas where the code may not be as efficient, so make recommendations to make it a lot more efficient. Automatically write test cases, right? Because these days there's a lot of expectations on developers to not only write code but also to write a lot of test cases and do everything by themselves.
Yes.
So a coding assistance, I would say, is a very good bang for buck. So these are a lot of low-hanging fruit that can enable them to be super programmers.
Right.
And I'm not just talking about engineers, I'm also talking about, for example, our legal team has started using AI because we do a lot of contracts with different customers, partners, vendors, and so on. So imagine having to close out 200 contracts every quarter, right? You'll need about a 50-member legal team to do that. Instead of that, we have like a 1-member legal team who uses AI tools where he feeds in the contracts to the legal tool and it comes back and says, are there any red flags in this contract? Is there something we should be aware of? Or is there something that has to go to the CEO to take a decision on? What about liability? So it gives all the highlights. And of course, an enterprise version of like ChatGPT, which can be extremely helpful to our employees, right? Whether it's finance team or whether it's HR, whether it's employees trying to even understand what are the benefits that are given to them by the company. So policy documents, simplification, even presentations in a very, very impactful, a very focused presentation to a board of executives, having ChatGPT or other tools like that take a second look and come back with recommendations. So there's a lot of things that we are doing at a ground level. And in terms of hiring, see, I think gone are the days where AI is sitting in its own ivory tower where you have just PhDs in AI in a centralized group doing AI. I mean, AI has become so day-to-day, almost any technology team or a product team hires its own machine learning engineers now, right? So in that sense, AI is becoming distributed and available at a more grassroots level. Just like how product teams have product managers, they have program managers, they have designers, they have engineers, and they have a project lead, so is a machine learning engineer part of that product team. So that in a distributed way, almost any team becomes AI savvy. And that this knowledge is not niche and it's not concentrated in a very narrow segment of the organization. So those are some of the things that we do from a talent perspective.
I see. Steven-san, so the last discussion, the Kataoka sensei and the Waka-ken-san and discussed the important thing is not only finding the solutions, but also the ability to find problems or define the problems. What do you think of that?
So we have been one of Japan's largest life insurers for over 120 years, and we have solved some very simple problems, helping people to manage risks during very difficult times in their lives. However, the problem has changed with our changing customer needs. In our home market in Japan, the population is aging, so we have had to reimagine our business. And last year, we bought Japan's largest welfare benefits platform, which is not directly related to insurance at all, but it is helping support the welfare of customers and people. And so we need more talent that can help us to discover problems like this, i.e. new markets. And I think India is a fantastic market and a fantastic country for us to discover more opportunities. And that is why we have a top 10 life insurer here in India, and we have a variety of investments in India. And we will be, starting from this year, building a global capability center in Hyderabad. And we just heard also some comments from Mark Benioff about the apparent no longer the need for talent. We will be hiring over 600 engineers in India, and we have an even greater demand in other markets, so also in our US business and in our Australia business. So whilst technology is growing and technology is changing the way we develop technology itself, it doesn't mean that the demand for more humans is decreasing, not at all. And Japan, with its, aging population, has a huge demand for talent. And India has a huge talent. And so I think there is a perfect match here. And I think leaders such as Nishiyama-san and Talendy are a bridge between these two wonderful markets, Japan needing the talent and India having the talent. Japan needing to discover the new problems, and India, if you like, having these new exciting problems that the talent can solve.
Thank you very much. So yes, so Steven-san really bit, talk about the GCC. So this is actually one of the biggest big news, right, in Japan related to India. So Daiichi Life, this is a traditional big Japanese company, announced they set up the GCC in India. Very congratulations. So yeah, regarding to the GCC, so yes, definitely the Sunil-san. So Rakuten is the biggest, as a Japanese IT company, you have a big, operation or GCC center in Bangalore. So I'd like to know that this GCC part. So how does your GCC drive innovation and business success?
Yeah, I think there are two things. One is once we've made it very, very clear that our DNA is about innovation, part of it is you hire people who are okay to take risks, right? And who are 0 to 1 thinkers, right? And who are okay to start with something from nothing and build the first version of the product. Secondly, as an organization, we have to build capacity so that we can balance managing existing businesses and existing products from giving space for these incubations to take place. And so we have built that space and that capacity for entrepreneurship and risk-taking to take. And that is how, to be honest, Rakuten actually has 75 plus businesses, because that day one thinking is still there, right? Even though Rakuten Ichiba is the largest e-commerce provider in Japan, our CEO, Miki Mikitani, he started credit card, banking, insurance. Every year there is a new business that gets started, right? Which becomes $1 billion business.
Right.
So I think that day one calculated risk, technology innovation, adopting new tech like AI, these all go together. So I would say it's culture more than anything else.
I see. The culture is really important because so Indian culture and Japan culture is different, right? So today we have several Japanese, participants who are thinking to set up the GCC as well. So what is the secret to, communication work, cross-culture, collaboration is a key, right?
Yes.
What are the tips?
See, I think that there are a lot of things also changing. For example, the next generation, of entrepreneurs I see from Japan, such as yourself. I mean, you have taken such a big, bold decision to actually relocate to India and make this happen. So I think that is the DNA that's really required. But to add, I think we have taken the best of both worlds.
Yes.
Japan culture is a very, very thoughtful. Takes a lot more time to think, design, and plan before execution. India is all about get things done, like now. So I think mixing those two makes something wonderful come out. You bringing that sort of long-term thinking, long-term planning, high quality, thinking, build with make it happen culture. You bring those two together, something amazing happens. And you need to bridge those two. So you need people who can bring the two sides together and unleash the best out of both of them.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. And maybe Stevenson also, because Daiichi Life Holdings is a really big traditional Japanese company. It's obviously really difficult to convince the headquarters, right? How do you overcome or how do you convince them?
So first of all, patience and time. It's taken us about 2 years to get to this point where we got this approval. And we brought executives to India. We brought executives on tours of the wonderful technology centers that are here. We demonstrated how companies can deliver technology from India. I worked over 12 years ago for Nomura Securities, which is the largest securities company in Japan, and they were one of the first Japanese financial services institutes that set up a GCC here in Mumbai, in Powai. And so there is some, not very much, but there is some track record among Japanese financial institutions, and we demonstrated that it was possible. But I think one of the biggest things is our ambition. And our ambition is to grow outside of Japan because we are facing so much pressure in our domestic market. And in order to do that, technology is an engine. And this country, this market, has one of the largest, deepest pools of technologists in the world. And so it's through this and these argument points that we managed to convince our executives that, in fact, we have no choice but to come here and establish a technology center and to start developing and building our own talent and capability center here.
Thank you very much. Okay, so time's up. So yes, thank you very much for sharing your great experience and the insights, and then thank you for engaging all of you. So yes, so finally let's give them a big round of applause again. Yes. So this is the end of the session. So please enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. With that, we request our panel to please come together for a group photograph. Of course, Mr. Sharat Saraf, do join us on stage. First, let's get all of you in one frame and get you together. So in the frame, as you can see, we have Mr. Naotaka Nishiyama, we've got Sunil, Gopinath, and Stephen Barnham, who's taken out their valuable time and they've joined us. We'd now request Mr. Sharat Saraf to further help us with the felicitation of two of our dignitaries, starting with Mr. Sunil Gopinath. Sunil, thank you so much for joining us. Let's give them a warmer round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And Mr. Stephen Barnham. Stephen, thank you so much for your valuable time and joining us on this platform. Yes, we're going to be calling Mr. Deep Kumar Mondal. Deep, please, if you can join us on stage. We did lose the opportunity in the earlier session, but let's get you back on stage, please. So we're going to be requesting Mr. Deep Kumar Mondal and Mr. Saraf to be in one frame. Thank you so much, Dev. And Mr. Saraf, there's a request wherein we're going to be requesting all the speakers in this track to come on the stage for a group photograph. So let's get all of them on stage. Of course, if we have Mr. Saito around, please do join us. Anirban, Nandi as well, do join us. And let's get all the teammates as well. All of you who have contributed to the session, and even if you have just flown down for this event, let's get all of you on the stage. Ken, thank you so much. Kotaro, thank you so much. Let's get all the teammates as well who've traveled miles and miles together for PIWOT 2025. With that, a big thank you to all of them. Let's try and get them all in one frame, of course. And it's only getting merrier on stage. A big thank you to Nishiyama, Mr. Saito, Anirban, Nandi. We have, of course, Sunil, Gopinath, Stephen. We have also Ken on stage, Deb. We have Kotaro. And we also have our chairperson, the convener of PIWOT 2025, Mr. Saraf.